Started as a deputy sheriff for Maricopa County Sheriff's Office under Sheriff Joe. Did that for quite a while. Was with Pinal County under Sheriff Lamb for a couple of years as well there. And then left law enforcement. She's taught me that it's not weak to be kind. What man do you want her to live with? And so
Right.
be the bar that she has to set people to. Go to the grocery store, and there I am, constantly looking around to be like, does anyone here, do I recognize anyone? Do they recognize me?
Right.
And now I have these two little girls like, whoa.
This is the Lunatics Legends podcast. We have Chris Haynes in. Chris, you are a tactical shooting instructor. You're the CEO of SRT. You have over 10 years in law enforcement. You have 24 years plus in MMA. Tell the people about you.
Yeah, so I started out in mixed martial arts when I was 21 years old. For the first 6 years, I was a competitor. Have several fights under my belt. I can say that I'm an undefeated MMA fighter.
Nice.
After the 6 years of competing, I switched over and I became a coach. And so I've coached a lot of local fighters here in Arizona, some that came from out of state, California, to fight here, and then left the training center that I was at for quite a while. Took that knowledge and that experience, and then when I became a deputy sheriff, I would train some of the deputies like part-time to help out there. So that's where the MMA, or that's what I've done with my MMA experience. But yeah, started as a deputy sheriff for Maricopa County Sheriff's Office under Sheriff Joe. Did that for quite a while. During that time, I became a state certified firearms instructor, rifle instructor, NRA instructor, Glock armorer, and then so I helped out with the active shooter teachings. I taught at the academy for domestic violence, some hand-to-hand things, de-escalation, domestic violence as well. And then was a field training officer, also helped out at the shooting range for some of the classes for firearms as well. When Sheriff Joe left, that's when I left that agency, was able to go over and was with Pinal County under Sheriff Lamb for a couple of years as well there, and then left law enforcement altogether.
And you're a father to a couple girls,
I am.
right?
My biggest achievement is right there.
There you go. And being a firearms instructor, seeing what you've seen in like domestic violence and such, does that make you, do you think, more protective of your girls, or?
I've always been that type that's protective of family and really close friends. You can ask any of them that I'm always the one that's watching out. What I will say is my daughters are not naive to the evils of the world. I'm always on lookout, of course, around them. I tell them what is out there without being, overly, I guess, violent with how I say what happens. But they know that there is violence out there, and they know that I do my best, and what I teach them is for their own protection.
What is the hardest lesson that you've had to learn about masculinity that you weren't learning from all the training, or working with SWAT in trainings and stuff like that, or working with the deputies, that your girls taught you?
They probably have taught me how being kind is extremely, I think it can be very masculine as well. My oldest is probably the sweetest girl in the world, and she's taught me that it's not weak to be kind to others. And so I used to think you've got to be the tough one, the strong one all the times. But she's definitely shown me that her being as sweet as she is, that's a strength in its own for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. My oldest, her biggest attribute, hands down, is kindness. Yeah. And I'm doing everything I possibly can to help her keep that, because, the world is not kind.
Yeah.
A lot of experience all around the world, and it's just not how people show up. And, she's in school, and there's a lot of aggressive behavior these days. Absolutely. And children are overexposed to a lot of different behaviors via, internet, tablets, all the things. And it's constantly, she's just being browbeaten by all of the behaviors at school that are not focused around kindness, and my want for her is to not lose that attribute. It's so important and it's so
Absolutely.
rare.
My oldest, well, both of my daughters, they go to the same high school in Tempe, and my daughters will come home and be like, "Dad, there was a fight today. There was a fight today." Almost every week, there's literally a fight at least once or twice a week, and that's what I'll ask them. Hey, what did you do? Oh, I don't want to be a part of the crew that watches, or they'll be like, hey, they were sharing videos, and they'll be like, no, I'm not even gonna partake in that. And I'm like, oh, thank you. The hardest thing I think it's extremely hard for high schoolers now with all of the social media and things like that. I especially think it's harder for females. There's so much comparison that they have out there, and of course the popularity game comes into play, and this person says this or that person says that, and the amount of girl on girl fights at this school that I hear is astronomical. And I'm so thankful that they have a good head on their shoulders, and they walk away from even watching. And so I'm like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, we have a little 8-year-old girl, and she's just the sweetest thing in the world. Like, she loves rabbits and talking to strangers, and it's definitely been a thing as well where I'm constantly finding myself having to be like, dude, you're talking to an 8-year-old girl, like not one of the guys you're in the military with, not one of the guys on the construction site, like,
Yeah.
and it's been an interesting dynamic to now see this side of me where I have to be a softer man, or else they're delicate, and I don't want to ruin that kid's wonderful, beautiful view of the world.
Absolutely.
And she's not my kid, but she's my kid, dude.
Yeah,
like,
you're responsible.
when she like quotes me or like does something that I do, we're in traffic and she's like, honk the horn at them. I'm like, no, kiddo, we're in a drive-through. You don't do that,
Just do it.
Yeah, right. But no, I just, I feel elated and proud to step into a role in her life that, I get to be a figure to show her what stoic masculinity looks like, and to show her, there's been a couple different people that have said this. However, the first time I heard it was when I was doing like a men's leadership kind of thing. And it was a role in a father's role in his son's life is to prepare him for the world, not to tell him how to be, but to prepare him for a world, because the world is hard, right? And a role in a girl's life from a father figure is to show her an example of the man she is to love.
Yeah, I was always told a dad's role is you're setting the example she holds every other man to.
Right.
And so it's like, ooh, what man do you want her to live with? And it's
Right.
like, be the bar that she has to set people to. So
Something that I've noticed about my own daughter, her level of kindness, and even in her circle of friends, kids that actually she likes being around, like being around her, they still perceive that kindness as weakness.
yes,
And so she oftentimes, we've had conversations around it where she feels like that's making her weak. And I, of course, want desperately for her to understand that, no, that's not actually what's happening. Being kind is not weak. It's actually a totally different, to me, it's a very different kind of strength that just is not common. Most people do not have it. And so trying to help her navigate that mindset, and, to a 9-year-old, like
it's very tough.
Sometimes I can land that plane. Sometimes I don't,
Absolutely. I'm having the same exact thing. And I have a 17-year-old. And again, I say that this girl's been the sweetest ever from birth. We were in a grocery store years ago, and there was a woman in a like a wheelchair, like a motorized wheelchair. And we were down, it was like a frozen food aisle or whatever it was. And she just runs up and gives this stranger a hug. And I was like, no, we can't hug. Well, she was hurt. And I was like, no, we can't go hug strangers. I get it, sweetheart. Mm-hmm. You're adorable. We can't hug strangers. And so it's like, and then even now it's again, she's like I was saying before we started on here, mm-hmm. I'll be in the car and I'll get mad at someone for cutting me off or flying by me or just driving stupid, and I'll raise my voice and say something stupid, and she'll be in the back or the side going, well, hey, Dad, what if they're on their way to the hospital? And I'm like, damn. and I have to stop and think, and that's how she views the world. And I only want to encourage that, because I don't think we don't have much of that. And so the more that I can get her to affect me even in that way, and then now I think of that sometimes when I'm going kind of nutso and road raging, and I'm like, what would Sophia would say this, and it's like, oh, she would say, Dad, what if this person's going to the hospital? So it stops me, and her kindness is infectious.
You know what stops me from using bad words in the car driving is that my other one will say whatever I say. And
little rabbits have big ears.
She'll do it because she knows that she's not supposed to say it. But if I say it out of anger, and then she says it to make fun of me, she knows she can get away with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No.
Well, and it's kind of our responsibility to see all the evil things in the world that we see, and then to come home and act as though everything was a beautiful day, and give them that sense of rose-colored glasses where we can just, no, life is fine. Everything's okay. And, you know, that's kind of the masculine cross to bear, is to have to deal with all the things and sort them out, and then still show up for the family, still show up for society, knowing all of the evil things. I mean, literally, the probably worst things that I saw in Iraq put me in a place of questioning the levels of human depravity because of how nasty these things were.
Absolutely.
And yet now I have to be gentle and kind with this adorable little 8-year-old who just wants to talk about her bunny. And it's a hard thing to navigate as a man, to know that there's evil out there and be ready within a millisecond to, you know, if need be, put lead in someone if they attempt to snatch this little girl.
Absolutely.
And yet also not show them that there is that evil in the world, but also steering them to understanding not to expose themselves in ways.
It's absolutely a fine line. Absolutely. And yeah.
What was that like? You know, having worked under Sheriff Joe, like, you're dealing with a lot of those things domestically, like locally, like you're seeing these kinds of things happening day to day in your work. And then you're coming home knowing that that's just the next door over, essentially.
There was a lot of times where one of the things, again, because we lived in an area that I patrolled. So there were times where I'd have to tell them, and they were young. They were very young when this was going on. Our grocery store, I'd be like, hey, you know what Dad does. And if Dad sees someone that he may have arrested for something, or like you said, hey, I know that this neighborhood over here, there was something extremely violent. And it's like, hey, if Dad may come across someone that he's arrested for very bad things. And if I say that we have a routine that there's a specific phrase I say, they go immediately back in the store. So, and we've practiced this, but yeah, it's one of those things where, like you said, I know the area and how bad it can be. But again, going in there, not letting them at that age know those horrible things, but being extremely over aware of these things could happen. So like you said, constantly, we go to the grocery store, and there I am constantly looking around to be like, does anyone here, do I recognize anyone? Do they recognize me?
Right.
And now I have these two little girls, like, well, if they recognize these little girls, then it's completely different. Yeah, there have been times, I remember even, because I worked at 1 year prior to going to the streets, I worked in the jails. And there was family members. There were two family members of I won't say mafia, but it was like a crime family, a father and son, an organized, yeah. And it's crazy because they are known for making phone calls, and they will see your last name on your uniform, and then you'll come in the next week, and they'll be like, hey, how's your daughter's blah, 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 or how's this? And they'll start asking really personal questions. And it's just like, whoa, wait a minute. So I remember that right off the bat. It was probably maybe 2 months in, and I got asked that question, like, hey, how are your daughters? And it's just like, whoa.
Establishing
a
lot of reach.
It has a lot more reach. And so that instantly put me on this is very real. That was this is very real. And so I was extremely cautious. And I mean, I'm still am to this day. But it definitely flipped that switch of someone could come up to us in public. And that's when the routine for, hey, if dad says this, it's not the moment to be like, well, what? Are you sure? It's no questions asked. This is, you go right immediately in and you see like a store manager, you find someone, dad'll handle what he needs to handle, but you get absolutely away from me. So.
Well, and the name of your company is Stay Ready Training. I mean, that in itself is probably inspired by the fact that you had to deal with something like that, and now
Absolutely.
you're helping people learn how to navigate being that way.
Absolutely, yes. It's not we don't go look for it, but we're definitely ready if it shows up on our doorstep.
Where can people reach you at to get training?
We're all over social media at Stay Ready AZ. That's our website, stayreadyaz.com. Social media is the same exact thing, Stay Ready AZ. So Facebook, Instagram.
I'm sure you've probably heard people talking about peptides. It piqued your interest, you looked into it, but you don't know what source to trust. A lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're looking for a good quality peptide that's made in the United States, go to helixpure.com.